With me now live is mall security expert Steve Reed to talk about what is going on. Steve, good morning.
Morning.
Brawls erupted in California and all across the country at malls at the end of last month as the film industry celebrated National Cinema Day with $4 ticket prices. Many movie theaters are attached to malls at Bay Street in Emeryville. 50 unruly teens were reported as swarming one store, and fighting before that spilled outside. One gunshot was fired in that incident. We've also had a problem at the Moreno Valley Mall in Southern California with 150 boys reported fighting. What's the deal?
Well, we had certain times of the year when there were more teens than than other times of the year. We kind of monitored that. We kept track of our counts. The worst time of the year for us at Arden Fair was the day after Christmas. The teens had been cooped up all for a week or a week and a half, and then they came to the mall, and they just came there basically to act up. There were different factions there. So, I would beef up my security during that time. We explored the idea of them being under 18, not being allowed in the mall or being allowed in the mall with an adult. But it was really difficult to monitor that. It takes up all your security personnel to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, we're looking at some of, what has happened or what's been portrayed as happening with teens in malls. Malls have traditionally been a place where teens could kind of safely exercise a little bit of independence, hang out with their friends, unsupervised by parents for a little while, even if those parents were someplace else in the mall, spend some of their own money. And now that semi-independent environment kind of seems to be in jeopardy because of these incidents that seem to be happening all across the country.
Well, we implemented some other things that we did to monitor the teens, and one of the big things that we did was a dress code. We didn't allow the hoodies, we didn't allow the sagging. We created a city code section where we could ban people from the malls, and if they came back, they could be cited, and they would have to do a work project or something. So there were a lot of tools that we used, but we certainly welcome teens in the mall. We just didn't want the teens there to fight with a different faction or a different group.
I'm sure many people are recognizing your face because you were in charge of mall security there at Arden Fair for 15 years. As a result of the fights and theft at the mall in Moreno Valley that I just mentioned in Southern California is considering requiring unaccompanied teens to wear lanyards with their parents' contact information on them if they want to be at the mall after 5 p.m. on weekdays or any time on the weekends. Mall managers there haven't said how they might enforce that. You just mentioned kind of tracking them sort of gets to be a nightmare, so not really an enforceable policy. Do you think it will come to ejecting teens maybe who don't have that lanyard or not following the dress code if that's what somebody chose to impose?
Well, we did eject teens if they didn't follow the dress code. That was an automatic. My guys would give them one warning. If they didn't follow that, they were ejected from the mall. And then we created a ban list. And so we had a list, and my guys were very proficient. My guys and girls were very proficient at actually recognizing these people, but we still, even with all that, did have times that we had to shut the mall completely down. And one time, I don't know if you remember way back, we had to evacuate the mall when a sign fell over. They thought it was gunshots, and it created widespread panic. So, you have to be diligent counting your numbers. You have to be diligent putting these other things on the side, the dress code and the ban list and things like that, so that you can at least diminish the possibility of something happening.
All righty, let's talk about what store management always seems to say. We hear that they can't afford private security, but in the current retail theft climate and this situation with teens kind of wilding out in all these different ways, can stores really afford not to go that route? Or panic buttons really the answer in a mall environment? Or do you think people just need to agree to have maybe less profit and more safety with additional security guards? Because mall security itself maybe can't do everything.
No, but I also, during the Christmas season, spent thousands of dollars on off-duty police, and I would have police there all the time. We knew which stores were more susceptible to loss prevention, like you have your store, like a cosmetic store where they have the smaller items in the front, and it was more a possibility of them taking things. But I beefed up with off-duty police there, and we would have them hang out. And then we also did training for the retailers, trying to, under the guise of customer service, if you saw something that didn't look right, you go over the top, being customer friendly to them and seeing if you can help them. And that way you're keeping an eye on them, but you're not being intrusive on them.
Definitely. This is just kind of one of those delicate dances that mall managers and the teens who want to obviously come to the mall and not cause trouble. And then you have the other group that does want to come and maybe stir something up. All of that is delicate balance that's going to have to be worked out. Thank you so much for your insight this morning.
Thank you.